Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're back with another video. This time we're going to be taking a look at a class/subclass mod called the Gunslinger. This has a bunch of different subclasses, but today we're going to be taking a look at the Gunslinger, which is essentially a dual-wielding range class. They have a couple of resources that are a little bit different, kind of change up the gameplay. One is being bullets, which you have to reload in the middle of combat, and the other one is called K, or Kai, K-A. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that correctly, but this allows you to use things such as trick bullets or piercing bullets along with your regular ranged attacks. Has a cool little mantra here if you want to read through that. I think it's a nice little flavor text here, nice little touch. The actions that you get starting out are going to be aim with my eye, a precise shot that causes weapon damage and slows your target. As you can see down below, you have the action and you have the main hand ammo. So there's main hand and then sub ammo, and we'll get into that a little bit later. You have the Gunslinger Armory chest, which allows you to get your starting weapons. And then you have the second one, which is part from the fighter's class. Subclass feature that you get is fighting style gunslinging. You gain a +2 bonus to range weapon attacks. There's also a bunch of different subclasses here, and I will try and go over some of these in the future with different videos if you guys would like. There is quite a few to cover, 8 in total, and some of these I know with the Gunbreaker and Gunzerker are definitely going to be interesting to cover. So, in any case, for regards to abilities, I would say definitely prioritize dexterity. You could go with charisma if you want like a more talking character. Constitution, just to have that increased health. So if I had to try and bounce it out a little bit, maybe 16 in the health. Honestly, charisma is just kind of iffy. Realistically speaking, I'd probably go something like probably this. Maybe drop down charisma to 12. And then maybe put Constitution up to 16 as well. Maybe Dexterity to 17. I don't like having odd numbers, honestly. So either go with like Charisma or Intelligence, just for like the saving throws. But I would go with something like this, as terms of stats. Skill proficiencies, that's whatever. We're playing the Trials of Tav mod, so we're not really doing story-based stuff. So that's probably where I don't recommend like Charisma, whereas like Charisma would be a lot better for like role-playing purposes versus just basic battle. Anyway. We're going to go through the level up process. This does have up to level 20, so we're going to be going through that. I'll try and put timestamps for level 12 and then up to level 20, and then when we do the combat scenario. I try and do these on the videos, but I tend to forget after uploading them, so I'm going to try and remind myself to put the timestamps. Anyway, rambling on, at level 2, we get a new subclass feature. When you make an attack with your offhand weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the attack. So your ability modifier would be your dexterity. So I believe that adds a +3 if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But you get a +3 to your offhand attack. You get 3 new actions: the Gunslinger reaction, the Gunslinger reaction critical, and then the action surge. The Gunslinger smite reaction essentially allows you to do extra piercing damage and force damage. It takes 2 handgun ammo and a level 1 spell slot as an action. You also have this as a critical reaction. And again, Action Surge, which is pretty familiar from the fighter class. At level 3, you can get a skill change here, so if you want to change up your skills, I would say probably Sleight of Hand and Stealth if you want to be a little bit more sneaky, or Sleight of Hand and Athletics, or if you're role-playing, Performance or Persuasion is also really good. You get 2 maneuver abilities, again from the fighter's class, so from here, you can do things like pushing attack if you want to like get a little bit of distance. Disarming attack is really strong. Distracting or evasive footwork, just to give a little bit of extra movement speed and disadvantage. Goading attack if you want to put a disadvantage with other creatures, so something like that. And these are pretty standard from the fighter class, the maneuverability. So if you're familiar with those, these should be pretty familiar. You also do get a couple of other actions here before I move on. So the first action that you get is going to be the trick shot. This takes 2 main hand ammo and then K. Again, I don't know how that's pronounced, but anyway. It does 6 to 11 damage piercing. Fire 2 shots at your target of choice, dealing weapon damage to each target, so you can split this between different targets. You get a couple of actions as well. Shoot with my mind. Your knowledge allows you to strike with surgical accuracy to target a vital artery, which causes weapon damage and bleeds your target. So it causes 3 turns of bleed. It costs 1 main handgun ammo, and this is going to tie into something a little bit later. You get Gunslinger Protection, which is essentially a reaction. I believe whenever you are close to an ally and they're about to cast a spell such as Hold, you can use this to stop that. Kind of like Counterspell, but with bullets. And then finally we get Inspiring Palaver. You inspire with your words, giving yourself and your companions advantage for 1 turn. So nice little bonus action. Uses a Kai, K, how you want to pronounce that, and gives you advantage, which is pretty strong for 1 turn. Alright, at level 4, we get another action, Gunslinger Countershot. This is just essentially a reaction to countershot. If someone hits you, you can use a reaction to countershot that. Costs 2 handgun bullets. And then we get our first feat. Here, I would say dexterity is the way to go. Just bump it up to level 20 as soon as possible. At level 5, we get a extra attack. We get upgraded trick shot, which allows us to fire 3 shots instead of 2. And then we get a couple of new actions. Kill with my heart. If the target is both bleeding and slow, you do extra damage and knock your target prone. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can use one of your shots to bleed a target, and I believe another shot can be used to slow. You can also combine this with other allies that can call slow, or, you know, with a mage that has the slow ability. And then we get the Gunslinger Attack of Opportunity. I believe this is an attack of opportunity if they're walking away from you. You can use this ability to attack with your main handgun. And then we get a new cantrip, Elemental Weapon. Imbuing your weapon with elemental power, it receives a plus bonus to attack rolls and deals an additional 1d4 damage of your choice. I feel like this is what an elemental weapon should be, as not a concentration spell, but just like a flat 1d4 additional damage to your weapon. Not a concentration where you have to always maintain it or lose it. It makes it a lot more stronger and more viable. Anyway, level 6. We have the reload trick. You can now dual reload for 1 Kai. You also automatically reload your firearms after leaving combat. So this is actually pretty strong, and I'll show this off here in a minute about the reloading. And then we get a new action, Gunslinger Focus. Take a moment to center yourself and restore your Kai. This resets every short rest and allows you to reset your Kai, which is, or K. Again, I apologize for the pronunciation. I'm going to say K because it just sounds right, or maybe Ka. Maybe Ka is how you say it. Anyway. You get 2 new actions, Aura of the Gunslinger. You radiate an aura that aspires your... you radiate an aura that is supposed to be that. That's what's throwing me off. You radiate an aura that inspires your companions. Enemies have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you and your companions. The number needed to roll a critical hit is reduced to 1. So this is just a flat-out permanent buff. And then we get High Velocity Round. This does 8 to 24 piercing damage and is resistant. You fire a bullet in a 9-meter long line. Each creature in that line must make a dexterity saving throw or take weapon damage plus an extra 1d12 piercing damage. This takes main handgun ammo and a K. Or Ka, I guess. Ka. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not going to lie. Natural Explorer. Years of traveling the wilds have made you particularly tuned to beast or adaptive surviving certain environments. This is taken from the Ranger subclass. I'm sorry, the Ranger class. It doesn't give you the exact buffs that the Ranger class just gives you like a partial buff. Odds are probably Wasteland Fire if you're playing in a story, because a lot of things do fire damage, or poison would probably be very strong. Cold not so much, but definitely fire or poison would be my selection. At level 7, we get another action, Trick Shot, basically level 4. Now you can shoot 4 shots at different enemies. Takes 4 handgun ammo and a K. Or a Ka. I'm going to keep butchering that. And then we get another maneuver. Here, I would do something like Commander Strike. Menacing Attack is also pretty strong to frighten targets. Precision Attack is also pretty strong to add on to your attack roll. Rally if you want some extra health. Trip Attack is also pretty strong as well if you want to leave a target prone. Here we just get another feat increase, so we're going to bump that up to the 20 for dexterity. At level 9, we get the Indomitable. You have you become durable as an Iron Golem. Whenever you fail a saving throw, you can roll again. It results in getting a new result instead. Here we have Trick Shot level 5. You can target up to 5 enemies. This uses 5 handgun ammo and a Ka. And then we have Haste. Essentially just a flat-out haste, which lasts for 10 turns, which is really, really strong. It costs a bonus action in the Ka. It's a concentration spell, I believe. Yeah, its concentration is always prepared, so pretty strong. You get 10 turns of haste. You can definitely do a lot of damage with this build. Here we get another skill change if you wish. They say skill change, but it's basically just another boost to your skills. So you do performance, acrobatics if you like, or athletics, just depending on what you need. And then we get another maneuver. Here, evasive footwork is pretty strong. Distracting strike, commander strike is pretty good as well. Just pick whatever you feel is best. I say pushing attack if you need to get a little bit of room. And then we already done our abilities here. We also get a new subclass feature. The size of your Spirity die is increased to 1 to 10. So that's pretty good for like your Spirity die rolls. At level 11, we get another subclass feature, improved extra attack. And then we get Trick Shot at level 6, which is, I think, our final level in Trick Shot, which allows us to shoot all 6 bullets at 6 different targets. This will cause us to reload and only costs 1k. Alright, and finally we reach level 12, so if you're only playing with level 12, this is where you can stop and go into the combat scenario. We get our last feat here. Here, I would say probably something like Sharpshooter would be really good. Your ranged weapon attacks do not receive penalties from high ground rules. Ranged weapons attacks with the weapon you're using have a -5 penalty to attack rolls, but deal additional 10 damage. That's pretty strong. I would say something like that. I don't think Savage Attacker works with ranged attacks. Essentially, I would just go with Sharpshooter, just because they kind of go with like the Gunslinger build. Going up to level 13, just a health increase, so nothing major. At level 14, we get a new class feature. This is Kai Conduit. At the start of combat, you regenerate 4k. So you always get Kai like in combat. So it's pretty good resource that manages itself in combat. So you're not like going into battle empty, which is really nice, just in case you forget the short rest or anything like that. Alright, we get another class feature. This is Gunslinger Vigor. You're immune to the effects of lethargy after haste expires. So you no longer become lethargic after you use haste. So you can pretty much just abuse the amount of haste that you have at level 15, which is really, really strong. Level 16, we get a new feature, or class feat here. If you want, you can go with the Constitution here, bump that up if you want a little bit more health. I'm not going to do so because I'll have like a ring that bumps up my Constitution to 23. So you can either go with like Intelligence or Wisdom if you like. Other than that, I would say maybe Athlete if you want. If you haven't already, you can go with Alert. Alert's also really strong if you haven't done that in early stages. Level 17, just another flat health increase. Level 18, we have the ability Gunslinger Senses. You're able to see invisible creatures up to 9 meters of distance. Pretty strong. This seems like not always work, though, and I've noticed this with a bunch of different other modded classes, that sometimes the Senses to see invisible enemies just doesn't work. Anyway, we also get Gunslinger Escape. You can use your action to spend 4k points to become invisible for 10 turns. During that time, you're also resistant to all damage but force damage. So, this is really strong later on in the game. Not a lot of creatures do force damage as far as I know, and not a lot of creatures are like resistant to force damage, so that's actually pretty strong overall. Level 19, just another health increase. And then level 20, we get another health increase in our final feat. So you could subclass this at level 17 and get 3 points in like Rogue or something for extra bonus action if you like. You could probably do something like honestly, like a feat increase here is kind of hard to recommend just because you have most of the feats that you need. I like Lucky, just kind of one, it plays off the vibe of like that Gunslinger like esque, and two, it kind of helps you re-roll if your rolls are pretty shit. So I'd probably say Lucky's pretty good. So regarding the abilities, whenever you start off, you'll have the Gunslinger Armory, so you can just pop this. And then your inventory, you'll have the Gunslinger chest. And this will give you access to different weapons. This is a little bit of cheating, but I just recommend just going with like, probably just like starting off with the lower end weapons. They're all ranked as legendary. And the cool thing about these weapons is they do actually increase as you level up. You do get the templates, and you can do something with like the forge if you want to change like a weapon into something else, so it's pretty cool. But we'll go ahead and just gonna use like Gunslinger revolvers, just because like again the Gunslinger build dual revolvers. If you are a Dirge, Mage, or Saint, you can use your spellcasting ability, modifier attack on attack rolls, and then you get Stalwart. The weapons enchantment levels increase progressively by by +1 every 3, 6, and 9 levels. So basically, we're at level 3, 6, and 9, you'll get a +1 to in your enchantment. So that's why you see +3. We have the Gunslinger main abilities. We have sneak attack. We have main load reload. We have full reload, and then we have a couple of other ones here, such as dual wield fire attack, offhand reload, and then full reload. As mentioned before, the reload feature essentially works as such. As you see our resources, we have our main handgun and our offhand ammo. So whenever we use abilities,
grave mistake.
you can see those bullets are decreased since you're, actually shooting bullets. So bang bang. Look at me, I'm just shooting bang bang. I'm so cool. And then you have actions such as full reload. Full reload does cost a Kai to do. You can also do a offhand reload and a main hand reload, so you don't have to use a Ka to do so. So for example, if I want to just reload the main hand gun, I'll just cast that. Or if I want to use the offhand reload. Now if I'm in a rush, I can use the full reload, which will reload both my main handgun and my offhand, but also costs me a Ka. So really, really cool. Sort of like, not necessarily risk reward, but just like another feature resource to use, which is pretty cool. And then we have our Ka here, which is essentially our second resource that allows us to use special abilities. One of them obviously being the full reload. Then we have the trick shot. We have the high velocity round, and so on and so forth. So here we have trick shot level 3, and then level 6. So you can choose to do 3 shots if you like. Or if you want to get crazy with it, just do a full reload here. You can use 6 shots here. It's pretty cool, but it does cost like all your ammo. And then we have elemental weapon. This allows us to use a level 2 spell slot, as well as a Ka to pick a weapon of our choice. So we have acid, acid, frost, fire, lightning, and thunder. So you can pick one of those. And if we check our guns here, we now do 1d4 acid damage. So pretty strong here. The rest of these abilities I can show off in combat, since these are pretty easy to do. And then if you want to use Gunslinger Focus, that just refills up the rest of our Ka. Kind of like how monks can refill their chi on a short rest. In any case, we're going to go ahead and go through combat scenario. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm trying to get through like the leveling up process a little bit quicker, but being levels 1 through 20, it does take a little bit of time, so I apologize for the videos being long in terms of the showcase. I'll try and work on that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.
Light on my feet. There's room for more.